Hey everybody, this is Jeff coming to you from the Good News Gathering Ministry Center with another edition of the Good News. Last week we were reminded that even in times of adversity, the Bible encourages us in 1 Thessalonians 5:16 through 18. It says, "Be joyful always, pray continually, give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus." Take careful note of the words. Be joyful always. Give thanks in all circumstances. Always and all are all-encompassing words, no exceptions. God is telling us that no matter what life brings our way, whether in good times or bad, we can find joy and things to be thankful for. How is that possible? How can we as Christians be joyful always and give thanks in all circumstances? I believe the answer is found in Romans 8:28. And it goes like this. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. You see, the Apostle Paul is emphatic here. He says, we know. Not we think, or we suppose, or we guess, or even we hope. He says we know that in all circumstances, and think about it, it's not some circumstances, or positive circumstances, or circumstances that make us comfortable or are pain-free. He says we know that in all circumstances. And what is it that we Christians know? In all circumstances, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. This church was called into existence according to his purpose 22 years ago. His purpose for our church was to put him first and spread the good news of his love to the very best of our ability. And we can face all circumstances, including this pandemic, with the knowledge and the assurance that God is at work for this church family's good. Now let's be honest. We all struggle with change. Personally, I'm not a fan of surprises. Last fall, when the leadership team discussed our plans for this year and the goals that we wanted to achieve, none of us had this crisis penciled in on our year-long strategic plan. It wasn't on anybody's radar. And yet here we are, 5 months later, and words and phrases like social distancing, quarantine, and stay-at-home orders have forced their way into our vocabulary. But even in the midst of all this upheaval, God is at work for the good of this church family. Let me give you some examples. In talking with many of you over the last 9 weeks, there appears to be a heightened awareness of the importance of Christian community. I've been asked repeatedly, how soon are we getting back together? People have commented, having the services online is nice, but it's not the same. Our people are experiencing the felt need for connection with their brothers and sisters in Christ that simply cannot be achieved through a screen. So life groups and ministry teams have begun meeting in the ministry center. Some are considering the idea of holding watch parties where they invite a small group of people into their homes to watch our services. And on Sunday, May 31st, the Get Started Life Group, a 3-week introduction to Christianity, will begin meeting in our home. You can sign up for it by emailing me at jeff@goodnewsgathering.org or calling the church office at 393-5383. These are all good things. At the same time, God has been at work expanding our online presence and increasing the amount of solid biblical content that we deliver through the video casts of our Sunday services, the Tuesday prayer time, Thursday's Good News, and Friday's Digging Deeper. Our online efforts are reaching far beyond those who actually attend our services. These are good things as well. And I'm excited to announce that beginning on May 31st, we're actually going to reformat Digging Deeper to a daily 10-minute video cast as we work through a lesson series entitled Family Wisdom based on the book of Proverbs. So from May 31st to June 30th, you'll have biblical content available to you every day. This time has also afforded us the opportunity to refresh the nursery through third grade area of our ministry center. Fresh paint, all new carpet, and a revamped check-in area will provide a warm and welcoming environment for our G kids when we reopen that area of our facility. So we can see that in a variety of ways, God is at work for the good of this church family, despite the separation we've experienced. So, when are we resuming our Sunday services? We will reopen both the 9 a.m. and 10:45 a.m. services on Sunday, June the 14th. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but Jeff, the governor never made the stay-at-home order mandatory for churches. And that's true. The leadership team chose to comply out of respect for our government and to safeguard our community. Now, some of you may be thinking, but other churches never closed. And some that did have reopened already. Why are we waiting an additional 3 weeks? Well, because of our size, we have decided to take a more cautious approach. As I indicated last week, with the reopening of so many sectors of our economy, there's a concern that the virus could spread rapidly. Hopefully that will not occur. But waiting an additional 3 weeks should give us a clear indication of how things are going. What we would not want to do is reopen and then have to shut down again. The governor's office has indicated that churches and businesses can have up to 50% of their occupancy load in the facility at one time. Our occupancy load here at the Ministry Center is somewhere north of 1,300 people. One half of that is about our average total Sunday morning attendance. So with 2 services, we will be well under that limit. When we reopen on June 14th, please understand that there are some services that we will not be providing for a while. For example, the cafe will only provide bottled water, and communion packets will be available for you to pick up in the atrium. The communion room itself will be closed. Our hope is to gradually reincorporate these services over the coming months. For the first 3 Sundays, June 14th, 21st, and 28th, we will not have children's and youth programming. We will resume those on July 5th. Now, some of you are probably wondering, why are you waiting so long to resume children's programming? And here's why. The governor is reopening daycare facilities at the end of this month, and we need time to gauge the impact of that prior to reopening our children's area. The data appears to indicate that the virus is not typically lethal for children, but they are carriers, and some of our volunteers are in the at-risk age group that work in that area. The belief is that the virus will not spread as rapidly in warmer weather. July, August, and September are 3 of the hottest months of the year in Ohio. Now, our goal in all of this is to minimize the risk involving children. We realize that there will be those who remain uncomfortable with the idea of public services, and some with small children may prefer to remain at home until July the 5th. We will continue to provide all of our online offerings for you to view at home until we fully reopen. For those of you that choose to attend our public gatherings, please understand the following. Try as we might, we cannot guarantee a germ-free or virus-free environment. Because we live in a fallen world, we all assume certain risks every time we leave our homes. If you are in an at-risk category, use your judgment as to when you begin attending public services. In order to make it easier to practice social distancing, we are providing additional seating in the atrium near the cafe and in our Phase 1 addition. The service will be live streamed into those areas. There will be some who choose to wear masks and some who do not. We expect everyone to be respectful, whichever choice you make, and to be aware of the people around you. As always, if you are running a fever or exhibiting signs of respiratory illness, please stay at home and watch the services online. Now, prior to reopening, we will be deep cleaning the ministry center. If you are willing to help out with this project, please fill out our online Connect card on the first page of our website or call the church office. Listen, I know that this has been a long and frustrating stretch. I also understand that this disease hasn't just impacted people physically. It has polarized people over models, restrictions, best practices, and the role of government in our lives. I understand that we can all have differing opinions on these issues. But here's the thing we have to remember. As members of the G&G family, we are one in Christ. And thank God, we're beginning to glimpse some light at the end of the tunnel. Our prayers that we could resume meeting in person are being answered. So let's stay focused, not on the adversity we've experienced, but on the fact that God is working for good in this situation. Never forget the words of Romans 8:28. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Because that, friends, is good news. I love you all and I miss you. We'll get together again next Thursday for more good news. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in person. Take care, everybody.